Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be looking at 5-star reviews of some of my least favorite books that I've read over the course of however many years. I actually did a video reading 1-star reviews of some of my favorite books. I will link it below. And that was quite an eye-opening experience because it really was proof that reading is incredibly subjective. I knew it logically, but I suppose to see it for myself based on those comments was enlightening. And I definitely was baffled by the comments that I saw. Nonetheless, everybody is allowed to feel the way that they feel. I'll also preface this by saying that if you don't really like to see negative opinions of your favorite books, just skip, because this is all this video is going to be. And I just want to make sure that you don't have a horrible internet YouTube experience. This is all in good fun. Don't take my opinions too seriously, if only because you are allowed to like different things than I like. And believe it or not, even if you don't get the vibe from this video, your opinions are as valid as mine. I'm not any more special, I'm not better, it's just me having a good time. Don't allow some random girl on the internet ruin your day. Don't give me that much power, okay? Without further ado, let's get into it. So the very first book on my list is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, or for the British readers, You and Me on Vacation, which is the version that I read. The first comment says, "I'm sorry, but the fact that Alex Nielsen is not real is honestly just offensive. I'm here to tell you that Alex Nielsen is real. You just need to go out, find yourself an avoidant man who doesn't particularly display a wide range of emotions and is very sort of emotionally constipated, but is akin to maybe fleeting moments of silliness, and you've got yourself an Alex. Trust me, he is not as rare as you think. He just isn't named Alex Nielsen, but he is alive and he is well. I can assure you of that." Next comment says, "Okay, I don't know why more people don't love this book because I genuinely fell in love with it. Dare I say I liked it more than Funny Story. The vacation vibes, the chemistry, the characters. I was smiling and kicking my feet the entire time. I don't even like Friends to Lovers and I gobbled this in a couple of days. It was an audiobook." Dare I say the fact that it was an audiobook made your journey slightly better than mine, because I find that with audiobooks they tend to soften the blow of badly written books, and there is a reason more people don't love this, and that is because it's not great. The vacation vibes, I suppose you could say, is quite nice. The chemistry, I guess, I don't know what kind of chemistry you're into. It's probably not the kind of chemistry I'm into. I didn't get it. The characters were, I think, insufferable for the most part. I wasn't smiling or kicking my feet. I was counting down the hours that it would take me to finish reading this book so that I could stop. So I'm very happy that People We Meet on Vacation was a positive experience for you, but I think that for me it was akin to watching paint dry, except obviously at the end of it you don't have a freshly painted room and a color of your choice. You're instead left to live with the decision that you made to read the book and tackle the reading slump that follows after. Honestly, the fact that this person has Book Lovers as their least favorite Emily Henry book tells me that we probably don't have the same taste in books, because Book Lovers is arguably Emily Henry's best work, and the fact that it's at the bottom and we have not only Beach Read but Funny Story on top of it, yeah, I fear we do not have similar tastes at all. The next book is Happy Place, also by Emily Henry. The first comment says, "I don't know what type of drug she puts in her books, but it's a really good one. Probably not the kind of drugs I would be into." Not that I would know, because I've actually never done drugs, but I reckon that whatever drugs she puts in her books are the ones that I probably would not like, in the event that I liked drugs. Whatever it is she puts in it is probably more of, I would say, a deterrent rather than something that's addictive. But I'm overall happy that somebody out there thinks they're good drugs. Next comment says, This is giving book lovers a run for its money. I like how her books focus more on the characters' problems and personal growth rather than the romance, but I did enjoy this second chance fake dating romance more than I expected to. The alternate timelines in People We Meet on Vacation did not really work for me, but here it felt helpful to the story and developed the characters a lot. I liked it. I want to go to Maine and spend a summer at a beach house with my friends, please. The fact that this person thinks the Happy Place gave Book Lovers a run for its money is egregious. Now, I will give them props in the sense that they did like book lovers, unlike the last person, so inherently they are better than the last person. And I also like the fact that Emily Henry's book focused on the characters' problems, but if it's going to be marketed as a romance, I don't think the romance should take a back seat. In terms of the second chance fake dating, it just didn't really work for me. I actually left the book thinking, why on earth Harriet and Wynne were together, and that they each needed individual therapy and a break from each other, more of like a permanent break, if you ask me. And I would agree with this person that the alternate timelines actually worked because they helped to distract from the disaster that the book was, and it at least gave you something to look forward to. But I just thought that nobody in this story, friends included, had any business being in each other's lives. They all needed to go their separate ways and figure out who the hell they were outside of their relationships and their friend group, and just really find people that they want to be around. The relationships in this book felt like a chore or a duty rather than people who just came together and want to be in each other's lives. Everything felt forced. I don't know anything about Maine. Maine could be a really nice place. Beach houses are usually lovely, so I could agree on that. There was nothing happy about Happy Place, and honestly, the book cover and the name are probably the only joyful parts of this story. Everything else, straight in the bin. The next book is Shameless, Puckboy by Eden Finley and Saxon James. The first review says, no third act breakup, sold. I can't believe this person gave the book 5 stars on the basis that there was no third act breakup. I also feel like a third act breakup would have been pretty sadistic on the author's part, especially given all Lane had to go through to look after Oscar for a reason that I just didn't even think was justified. Lane did not deserve more than he got, but at the end of the day, that is not a good enough reason to give a 5 star to this book, or any book really, but especially this one. It was horrendous. Second review says, I couldn't put this book down. Every spare moment I could find was spent trying to blaze through this story. I was worried I would find Oscar annoying based on his actions in the previous books, but it was made clear early on in this book that underneath his obnoxious exterior is a hurting human that's been treated poorly and thinks he's unlovable. I've never wanted a happy ending for a character as much as I wanted one for Oscar, and Lane is perfect for him. This is easily my favorite read of 2022. Well, let's hope that this person read more after the book so that this didn't end up being their favorite read of the year. I did catch that she was trying to blaze through the book, so you might think that it was a good thing, but you were clearly trying to get through it, so that says something. All that to say, Oscar was annoying and obnoxious, and his reasons I felt weren't good enough. Now, granted, I did get really irritated towards the end and skimmed it, so maybe they did say something that was quite groundbreaking that I might have missed. Oscar's behavior based on his previous experiences were in no way justified, in my opinion. He was obnoxious and annoying because he was obnoxious and annoying, and he knew that his team needed him, and he took full advantage of that, and it just wasn't great. I feel like they were trying to make another Ezra, but I thought Ezra was so much better done, and Ezra is like a much better person, much more palatable. I just thought Oscar was the cheap Ezra, but more annoying, more obnoxious, and also just not very redeemable, to be honest. I actually liked Oscar a lot more before I read his book, and then my opinion of him went downhill after reading his own book, which is quite unfortunate. The next book is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Schwab. The first review says, if I loved you less, I would be able to talk about you more. Dare I say you're not really able to talk about it because you didn't actually get very much out of it. And I say this as somebody who can at times be speechless by the words in a book and the way that authors are able to make the most phenomenal stories, and being so in awe of their talent and hard work that it makes you hard to speak. But I genuinely think that the reason why this person is not able to talk about them more is because subconsciously they know that this book was not it. And I wish they loved it less so that they could, in fact, tell me what it is that they really loved about it, because this comment is really not giving and it's not convincing me to read it at all. The next review says, I feel like someone just punched me in the stomach. You know, the funny thing about that comment is that it is exactly how I feel about the book. Like someone punched me in the stomach. But it's just that this person seems to view that positively, whereas I think I would view that very negatively. Because being punched in the stomach is not a good feeling. It's probably something that would be very painful. And this book felt very painful. I'm very proud of myself to getting to about 40% of it, but there is no way that I could do more because it was verbose and long and gave me absolutely nothing. And the worst part about it is that I could actually see the potential, but I think the execution fell all the way through for me. And it's actually quite sad that I didn't like it, but oh well. The next book is Breakaway by Avon Gale. The first review says, I'm not changing my star rating, but I just reread this and definitely didn't enjoy it as much as I did when I first read it in 2019. I still found it hilarious though. Dare I say maybe you shouldn't have given it a 5 star if that's how you feel, but I do understand the logic behind not changing your star rating. That said, I feel as though I could convince this person to dislike this book as much as me because I think that they've probably read it and they probably went, what the f? Okay, maybe not really. This book was all over the place. It was honestly the worst of the bunch. This is actually a book that belongs in a series, and I read the latter books before this one. So I'm very glad that I started with the latter books because I would never have read the rest of the series if I had read this first, even though this is technically the first book. The difference between this and the latter books, night and day. You wouldn't even believe that the same author wrote them. And Breakaway was horrendous. And I can't believe that there are people who like it, to be honest. Next review says, 5-4, nothing to nitpick stars for a wonderful, well-rounded, heartwarming story. I think I found a new favorite. Wonderful, well-rounded, heartwarming. Oh my god. I mean, wow. People like... I know in my head that people like different things, but like, I don't know. I feel like we're all human. Surely there must be some kind of common ground. Absolutely nothing to nitpick. Not the writing, not the characterization, not Lane, not the way Lane spoke to his best friend, not the chemistry, not the progression of the relationship. Nah. 5-4, nothing to nitpick stars. Wow. Maybe my standards are too high. Maybe I'm the problem. Because how do you read that book and have nothing to nitpick? Nothing at all. Wow. That is crazy. The next book is A Duke in Disguise by Cat Sebastian. I think this is my favorite of Cat Sebastian's books so far. The characters are delightful, rich, and fully developed. The story is well grounded in shitty things that actually happen to people without being a drag. One of the MCs is bi pan. Her friends and family all know, and they're all fine with it, including the man who's been panning for her for a decade. The villain gets his just desserts. Wait, what? Am I illiterate? Wait, the villain gets his just desserts in an incredible, justifying way. No, what the f***? The villain gets his just desserts in an incredibly satisfying way. The MCs grow and bend around each other but never give up their core, and because they love each other for what? That core of who they are? And because they love each other for that core of who they are, they never ask each other to give that up. I actually beg to differ, and Cat Sebastian is one of my favorite authors of all time. If you've watched this channel for a long time, you know that I'm always singing her praises, but I actually think that this is one of her worst books. This review was made in 2019, so I'm assuming they hadn't read her latter works before reading this, which is probably why they think it's some of her best work, but I bet this person's opinions have changed, or I hope this person's opinions have changed with Cat Sebastian's subsequent work. That said, I didn't really think the characters were delightful or rich or fully developed, and the big reason why this book was such a chore for me was actually because they did give up their core. They had certain beliefs that at the end of the day, based on their circumstances, were actually thrown by the wayside. And it's actually a running theme throughout, I think definitely this book, and I think the one before it. The one after it, I think, was better. But the first two, definitely. It felt like everything that we were told about the characters ended up being thrown away based on the changes in their life circumstances, and that is what took away from the story for me. So I think it's really interesting to see someone say that they never gave up their core, because I think they did. I didn't really feel that way at all. I could never accuse Cat Sebastian of being a bad writer though, because she's incredible even when I do not appreciate where her story goes, which is very rare, but I think this is definitely one of her worst. This one and the book before it. The next review says, it took me nearly 2 years to finish this most excellent of books. Why? I read it as an ebook, which always loses against all the audiobooks I'm listening to at the same time. But the reason I find the most convincing, the book starts from Ash's perspective. When it shifted to Verity, I was off at a run. Ash is truly a lovely hero, and the way he sees her added to my appreciation of them both. But she is a prickly heroine of my heart, no doubt about it. She has me in stitches, even when she's unhappy. I also liked Lady Caroline, Portia, and Amelia a lot. Must check out more books by Cat Sebastian. Agreed that this person definitely needs to check out more books like Sebastian because her mind will be blown. And I'd wager to say that it probably took you nearly 2 years to finish it because it wasn't that great a story. I'm sorry, it just wasn't. And if you read this book and read other Sebastian books, you know it's the truth. This is how weakest work. I think there are books that genuinely take you a long time, even though you're enjoying it, or even if they're good. But there are books that take a long time because you're not enjoying it, but maybe you're a bit hesitant to admit it to yourself. I can admit that I did like Verity, and I like a prickly heroine as well, but Verity was prickly and was strong-willed until her life changed, and I feel like the core of everything I loved her for fell by the wayside in order to, dare I say, accommodate a man. And I think this person definitely knows that they didn't love it quite as much, but they don't know why. I don't think anything you love should take you 2 years to read, especially a book as short as that one. Allow me to tell you how you feel. Oh my god. The sheer arrogance of that statement. Like, ignore me. Ignore me. Next book is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. The first review is, oh, so he's mean? 5 stars. Ladies, we need to pick our standards off the ground. What do you mean 5 stars because he's mean? That's not even a good joke, to be honest. Like, I think it should be 0 stars on the basis that the male MC is mean. What do you mean he's mean? 5 stars? Nah. I'm hoping that this was a comment made before the development of the frontal lobe, and I'm hoping that this was a comment made in the heat of like an angsty teen moment, because I can't have people giving 5 stars on the basis of the MMC being mean. Like, are we back to the like early 2000s or something? Like our standards should be up. We shouldn't be congratulating people because they're mean. Especially when it's like a male-female pairing, there's no way that you consider a mean MMC good enough thing to give 5 stars. Oh my word. We don't like a mean man. We don't like them at all. They're supposed to be in the bin, along with the other trash. This is actually disappointing now. I hate this book even more. You should like yourself enough to not be enticed by this low-level behavior. You know what I mean? And then the next review says, yeah. No. I was promised a fairy tale. I was promised Disney vibes. I was promised whimsy. I was promised fantasy. And all I got was dryness. Honestly, the cover of this book is magnificent, to be honest. It is probably one of the most visually stunning books I've ever seen. I was going through Goodreads, and the fact that I couldn't find that many reviews that actually broke down why they love this book in a way that I thought was befitting of a 5-star review says everything about it. I think this is just peer pressure talking. You know it. The next book is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. The first review says, did I finish the book or did the book finish me? It finished you. You gave it a 5-star. No doubt. It finished you. But you know the good thing is you can revive yourself and you can get better and you can do better. And I believe in you. But it did finish you. No doubt. Allow me to answer your question. It finished you. Someone said, wait, this is kind of the best book of all time. I'm going to imagine that this was the first book that person ever read and they hadn't ever read anything after. And that is why they are right that it is the best book of all time. But I'd also like to believe that this person has gone on to read other books and has discovered that their opinion was in fact wrong. And it's okay to change your opinion. I'm sure this person has. I just know it in my bones that they've changed their opinion. Ask me how. I don't have any evidence, but I just know that they have. This book is definitely not anywhere near the best book of all time. I know reading is subjective, but they're subjective and there's just absolute lies. And this is one of them. The next book is Love on the Brain by Hazelwood. Someone said, I love STEM romance. I ate this up. I'd read Hazelwood's grocery list at this point. Hazelwood doesn't like her female characters to have any kind of physical strength. So I would not ever read Hazelwood's grocery list because I think it would be bland. It would probably be brief. So at least your suffering would be short-lived. Next review says, if you love the love hypothesis, get ready. I've just finished Love on the Brain and it's settled. Hazelwood is leading the charge of up-and-coming contemporary romance authors. I cannot get enough of her brand of brainy romance. Bruh. Clever, sweet, hilarious, and sexy. Love on the Brain will check every romance reader's box. Bea and Levi are captivating from page 1 with an enemies to lovers romp that made me cackle like a madwoman more than once. Writing with an emotionally brilliant and witty pen, Hazelwood is an absolute romance powerhouse. I could not disagree more. And I will tell you, I did actually enjoy The Love Hypothesis when I read it. I've read it recently, so I don't know how I would feel now that I've broadened my romance horizons. But Love on the Brain I thought was significantly worse than The Love Hypothesis. And the thing about Ali Hazelwood's books is I've read Love on the Brain, I've read The Love Hypothesis, and I've read her feminist novellas, the three of them. And I think that they are just different versions of the same story. They are just the same main characters, the same man in different wigs. And I don't really think there's anything brilliant about her writing. I think it's hilarious at times. I think her writing can be sweet. But for women who are in STEM, her characters seem to use their brains a lot less than the average person, which I don't think women in STEM actually do. I think probably women in STEM use their brains a lot more than the average person. Her male main characters also are typically very huge. You can basically swap her main characters for each other in every story and you wouldn't even think anything was amiss, because that is how similar they are and that is how sort of interchangeable they are, because there's nothing about any of them that stands out to me. People who like Ali Hazelwood, I would genuinely like to know what they like about it. Is it the predictability? Is it because it's not too serious? Is it because you can turn your brain off and enjoy yourself? Like, what is the reason? It's actually a shame because I would love to read about badass women in STEM. But when the women in STEM are the women from these 5 books, it just makes me very sad because they're almost like jokes. I do have a video about my hatred for Ali Hazelwood's books, especially every book after The Love Hypothesis, because the story done once was fine and I enjoyed it. But to have the other stories just like them, except worse, just kind of put me off. I don't know if her latest works are any different or she has stepped away from the Raylo fan fiction, but her books just don't do it for me. And I can't believe that people are out here giving her as many 5 stars as they are. It's really baffling. The last book on my list is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This is the best book of my life. Please excuse me while I hug this book to my chest for the next 10 years. Please don't do that, whoever you are. Don't do that. You need to hug other books for the next 10 years, but definitely not Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, please. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you've done. And unless you are the worst person ever, which I doubt, you do not deserve to hug this book for the next 10 years of your life. You deserve something better. If you're going to dedicate yourself to that kind of physical exertion, you deserve quality. And let me know if you want me to give you quality. Last review says, this was free on Kindle Unlimited, but the way I would have paid all my money for this book, bad business decision on their part. All your money, all your precious money in this economy for Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating? Absolutely not. I'm very glad it was on Kindle Unlimited. And I'm glad that you read this book without technically paying for it, because that is what this book deserves. It doesn't deserve a dime of your money. This is a spoiler, by the way, especially with that terrible accidental pregnancy trope that ruined the entire story. Honestly, that was what poisoned it for me. I realized that I'm the kind of person that if there's an accidental pregnancy in a book, consider it done. I don't care what was in the book prior to that. It is one of the most off-putting tropes to me, and it exists in this book, and is a reason why I hate this book with such a passion. I clearly want better for you, and I'm very glad that you did not pay, especially all your money. You need to work on your financial decisions if you would have paid all your money for this book. You don't deserve that. Some people do, but I don't think you're one of them. Or maybe you are. Who knows? Bruh. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I don't know if you can detect it or not, but I haven't actually been feeling my best in a while, so it was nice to take out my frustrations on this video, so to speak. I've just been feeling a bit burnt out, and I might take a break from long form content until I figure out a few things. So this was, I think, a nice way to put a video forward that didn't really take a lot of effort. And if you notice, I probably strayed away from more verbose reviews just because I feel a bit, I don't know, is foggy the right word? I feel a bit tired recently, and I think it's not unlike a lot of people are feeling. The world is a complicated place to be at. I mean, I guess it's always been a complicated place to be, but recently I feel like, especially with all the news that we've been inundated by, I feel like it's been a challenging start to the year for me. The fact that it's just March and I'm already so tired, and there's also a lot going on in my personal life, family-wise, and that's been taking its own toll. So it was nice to be able to film something. I haven't been able to do that in a while. If you could like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you want to see from me. I'll see you when I see you. Bye bye.